formed those lines. And then they said, okay, let's go. This is after 2 weeks of destruction in Minneapolis. That's why we're going to win Minnesota for the first time since 1972, Republican Party. We're going to win. Now, it doesn't hurt that in Minnesota they have Ilhan Omar, who hates our country, who's broken the law. I mean, she's broken the law. Let's see what happens, but she's broken the law. But she hates our country. No, we're going to win. We're going to win because of what we did with Minneapolis. We saved Minneapolis. And we saved Seattle. I mean, Seattle was going real bad. And do you want to know the truth? We're sort of saving the whole country, if you really think about it. And that's why we have spirit, the likes of which I don't think any campaign has ever had. That's what's happened. Our congressman will be having lunch soon, someday, with a radical left, maybe AOC. Do you see yourself? Maybe not. That might, he's going, I don't know about that. That might be a step too far, right? Omar. He'll be having lunch with Ilhan Omar, who truly hates our country. Well, she's one of the reasons we're going to win the great state of. We're going to win. We're going to win because of Ilhan, right? We're going to win Minnesota because of her. You don't see having lunch with her. He refuses. She said, I don't care how well we do. I'm not having lunch with her, right? Well, he's a warrior. He knows what he's doing.
So Donald Trump is at it again with the attacks on Ilhan Omar. What you basically saw there was him at rallies across many Midwestern cities, and those were just a couple of the clips. And in pretty much every stop on his plane stop tour, he took an opportunity to attack Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who is, of course, one of the most progressive members of Congress, was a Bernie Sanders supporter, and is often targeted by Donald Trump because she has the audacity to criticize the current state of American society while being an immigrant from a place like Somalia. She's a woman of color who is Islamic, who wears a hijab, and because of that, she has no right, again, to criticize our country. Nothing here is necessarily new. You have all the greatest hits, if you will, from Trump's xenophobia. She's telling us how to run our country. She hates our country. The way he says Ilhan Omar, he'll say Ilhan Omar, trying to make it sound weird. It's not quite as bad as David Perdue mocking Kamala Harris's name like we saw last night. It's not quite as bad as that, mocking Kamala Harris, but it is definitely rooted in this idea that her name, what she wears, her skin color, where she's from, her accent, and her progressive ideals all make her less of an American than people like Trump and the people that are at the Trump rallies, who are overwhelmingly, white Christian European peoples. And it's ugly. But I wanted to make this video centered on the fact that Ilhan Omar is fighting back. She's always been doing this, but I wanted to underline it here when she really shows that what Donald Trump is doing is not strong, it's not confident, it's weak, and it's insecure, and it's a sign that this man is on his final leg with regard to his presidential chances. And I want to read out a tweet from Ilhan Omar that gets this point across. She says, "He is unraveling," referring to Trump. "What you are witnessing is the weakest expression of strength. It's similar to the final acts of fallen dictators. We will outlast him because we are stronger." And she's right. She's 100% right. Trump is desperate right now. He's always been awful. But the ceaseless attacks on Ilhan Omar, who is just one of 435 congresspeople, this idea that, people are trying to steal the country, the idea that everything's a conspiracy against him, the idea that, the ballots are all rigged, the idea that, we can't have the mail-in ballots count, the idea that supposedly Ilhan Omar and the Democrats are breaking the rules in the election, the idea that some of the conspiracy theories that are truly bonkers, Trump will either, refuse to condemn or will actually at least partially defend. These are all last gasp efforts to try and win this election because nothing's working. Like, I've been very critical of Joe Biden, you guys know this, but nothing's working. The attacks on Biden aren't sticking. Even when the attacks are at least partially based in some reality, the fact of the matter is Trump is worse on those issues. And people are seeing in plain sight that, hey, Joe Biden might not be perfect. And in fact, most people voting for Biden are actually voting against Trump. But they're set in that way because they know Donald Trump has failed. And they know that he's a threat to public health, to the environment, to democracy, in a way that even neoliberal corporate Democrats aren't quite a threat. And so despite all of these efforts, despite all of these Hail Marys, he's still losing. The polls aren't tightening. He's losing a lot of the states that he won last time. And in some cases, he's losing them big. He's even potentially losing red states like Georgia and Texas. And senators, Republican senators that were considered safe a few months ago, like Lindsey Graham and Joni Ernst in South Carolina and in Iowa, are at the very least within a margin of error of losing their supposedly safe or at least comfortable Republican Senate seats. It's coming apart at the seams right now. And so when you see this, know that what he's doing is awful. And I've said this and I stand by it, that I do worry about Ilhan Omar's safety when you see Donald Trump talk about her like this and you see the lock her up chants accompany it. It does scare me because I worry that someone who loves Donald Trump for whatever reason will take what he says and say and interpret it as this un-American woman is trying to steal our country and then do something awful based on that perception that Donald Trump has tried to create and perpetuate. But realize that fundamentally, this is a wolf, in a cave, wounded, scared, knowing that everything he's done hasn't worked. And all the mistakes he's made and all the awful things he's done, they're coming back to haunt him. This is a man in retreat. This is not somebody on the attack.